Thank you everyone for coming. Again, this is Bedtime Stories with Duck and Goose. She's got this. Every day before school, Zoe watched the birds perched in the tree outside her bedroom window. She loved the way they hopped and balanced on the branches. She loved the way they flew. As she ate her morning cereal, something on TV caught Zoe's eye. A gymnast was dancing along a beam, flipping and spinning and landing with her arms out. Flying for real! Zoe wanted to do that too. Her dad took her shopping for a leotard. Her mom drove her to her first gymnastics class. Zoe loved stretching, tumbling, and swinging on the bars, but her favorite thing of all was the balance beam. Zoe learned to turn and to jump light as a bird on a branch. Other kids in class wobbled. Not Zoe. Soon, Zoe was ready to fly, just like the gymnast on TV. She stood on the end of the beam and gripped it with her toes. She lifted her arms. Then she leaped. Leapt. Maybe leapt. For a moment, Zoe flew. Then she hit the mat with a thump. Zoe's knee hurt. Her shoulder hurt. Her head hurt. Inside, her heart hurt too. I know how that goes. That night, Zoe told her parents she didn't want to go back to gymnastics class. Because you fell? Her dad asked. When you were learning to walk, you'd fall down and get right back up. But Zoe didn't remember learning to walk. She did remember hitting the mat with a thump. Hello, family. How's it going? One time, I fell running a race, her older brother said. Then I picked myself up. Then I picked myself up. You can't let a fall make you quit. But Zoe's brother was big, and she was little. I fall all the time in karate, her older sister told Zoe. That's part of what we do. Learn to fall without getting hurt. But falling had hurt. Zoe didn't want to fall again. Let's go out, Zoe's mom said. Go out? Asked her dad. Why? To celebrate, said her mom. Celebration meant ice cream with hot fudge and sprinkles. What are we celebrating? Asked Zoe's brother. Zoe's first fall, said Zoe's mom. It's good news. How is falling good news? Each fall makes you better, Zoe's mom told her. Now you have to try again. Maybe you'll fall, but maybe not. You won't know unless you try. A tiny bird soared over Zoe's head. The next week, Zoe went back to gymnastics. She did some somersaults and cartwheels. She turned flips, and she danced along the beam. Sometimes she fell, but every time she did, she got right back up. After several weeks, Zoe's class put on a show for all the families. When it was Zoe's turn, she hopped up onto the beam. She paused and lifted her arms and her chin. Her parents smiled. Her brother and sister cheered. Her coach nodded. Zoe breathed deeply. In a moment, she would jump into the air. She didn't know if she would fall or if she would land safely, but she knew one thing. She was ready to fly. The end. Yay! Goldie the puppy goes to puppy school. puppies. Goldie had puppy class, so we went to the park. We got there early to let her run and bark. Her friends started arriving with their families too. Look at all the puppies. Oh, that one's got a wheelchair. Heck yeah. Goldie wanted to play, but we had training to do. Leash walking was first. We lined up in a row. The trainer was ready. Okay, let's go. We weaved in and out. Goldie looked so sweet. We told her, "Good girl," and we gave her a T word that I can't say because Duck knows what that word means. Let's try it. And we gave her a treat. Good, he's asleep and he didn't hear me. Next came the pack walk. She was leader today. She went to the front and set pace for the way. Soon, Goldie became too tired to stand. Tired puppy is a happy puppy. She plopped on the ground and just lay in the sand. The other puppies barked. With their friends, they played. Look at all the puppies! Goldie didn't want to. She preferred the shade. She smiled, wagged her tail, and asked for a treat. For the rest of the class, she slept at my feet. That's how Duck was in class. He only ever made it halfway. Then he gave up. Then he was like zoned out. I hope that next week she will want to play. But for now, we go home. Goldie's done for the day. The end. Diggy the dog explores friendship. Diggy the dog lived on a farm with his mom and pop in a big red barn. His home sat on top of the highest hill with land, animals, and a red windmill. I don't think that windmill's red, but we'll just pretend. Just pretend, it's okay. The farm was surrounded by a big blue stream and hundreds of trees. More than one could dream. It was here that Diggy loved to explore the endless animals, rocks, plants, and more. Hello. You snuggling? But one day, when Diggy had gone to explore, he went further than he had ever been before. He came across an old wooden bridge with a few missing boards and some light damage. Ooh, that looks like more than light damage. Oh dear. Diggy looked around. Not a soul was in sight. A smile formed. He could not hide his delight. Yeah. With a cautious look, he stepped on the wood. It creaked and cracked. So quietly he stood. Oh no! The water was rushing beneath his paws, and the planks were swaying like tiny seesaws. The bridge wouldn't last. What could Diggy do? He didn't have long, maybe a second or two. Without missing a beat, Diggy leapt off the plank as high as he could, aiming for the nearby bank. As he touched solid ground, glad to be okay, the bridge collapsed and was swept away. Diggy looked across the river, anxious and scared. He couldn't make the jump, and swimming he didn't dare. But Diggy could run. It's what he does best. so he ran down the river without stopping to rest. After a long while, he still could not cross. That's when Diggy started feeling at a loss. How would he ever cross this rapid river? The thought scared him. It gave him a shiver. Oh no. But at that moment, there was a rustle close by. Diggy looked over the bank and saw, to his surprise, a small furry creature with teeth as large as can be, chewing and gnawing on a large chunk of tree. Help me, help me! The bridge fell down! I can't cross the river, and I can't go around! The beaver turned to Diggy and looked over the pile, and immediately gave him a great big smile. I'm Bucky the Beaver, and constructing is what I do. All I need is wood, and I can build anything for you. A new bridge, a new boat, and even an oar. The only problem is, it will take a day, maybe more. Diggy thanked Bucky. His offer was kind, but he couldn't wait that long. He didn't have time. Bucky smiled and said, I fully understand. I would try the forest. That may be your best plan. The forest was dark, with trees all around, and that's when Diggy heard a very strange sound. Thunk, thunk, thunk. It was fast approaching. Louder and louder. Something was definitely encroaching. I live here now. Duck is fully asleep. Diggy saw a dark figure. It looked like a tree, but it was coming right towards him. How could that be? The closer it got, the more Diggy made out. It looked like an animal, stumbling about. Help me, help me! My situation is bad. I need to get home to my mom and dad. The creature quickly stopped and lowered its head. Face to face with Diggy, this is what it said. I just looked at the picture. Hello there, friend. My name is Melvin the Moose. My apologies if I look like a goof. I stumble and tumble wherever I go. Noise and destruction, that's all I know. That's a very funny voice I just gave. You see, I have strong antlers, and I'm tall enough. But with poor sight, I'm always running into stuff. I can cross the river, no problem at all. But with my poor vision, I may slip and fall. Diggy was upset. He hung his head low, but thanked Melvin and then turned to go. Melvin looked on, wishing he could do more, as Diggy went further into the outdoors. Diggy's never seen trees as big as these, and the plants and bugs, he didn't feel at ease. But Diggy needed some help, so he marched on, though the further he went, the more his path was gone. Diggy came into a clearing and looked around. He saw something move, so he made no sound. The creature was huge, at least 8 feet tall. The biggest he's seen. It looked like a wall. It had dark black hair, sharp teeth, and claws. It was picking up trees without even a pause. The size and strength gave Diggy a scare, but then the beast stopped and started sniffing the air. The creature sniffed and snorted, then turned its head. He stared right at Diggy. Oh no, Diggy said. He bounced right over. Diggy froze in dismay. Then he bent down, now just inches away. Well, hello there, little one. I'm Billy the Bear. I'm terribly sorry if I gave you a scare. I was exercising by lifting the trees. I'm sure that was a fright. Forgive me, please. Diggy opened his eyes and let out some sighs. And, to his surprise, he saw the kindest eyes. Help me, help me! I've been so lost for so long! Can you help me find my way back home? Close. Diggy, my friend, I'm the strongest you'll find. I can lift any object, no matter the kind. Although I'm strong, there's one thing I can't do. I cannot swim, so I'm no help to you. Diggy nodded his head. He understood. He thanked the bear for doing what he could. Diggy waved goodbye and headed further in, looking for another way to bring him home again. Diggy wandered through the woods. He kept moving about. He was thirsty and hungry. He felt fully worn out. As he sat to rest, he was filled with doubt. And then a single large tear fell down his snout. Ooh, ooh. The sound came from a nearby limb. Diggy looked and saw eyes staring back at him. The two eyes were wide and completely yellow. Yet Diggy felt comfort staring back at this fellow. Help me, help me! I need to get home! I'm lost in the woods and terribly alone! The creature that stepped forward into the light, the colors, the wings, it was definitely a sight. I'm Ollie the Owl. Do not be afraid. You feel all alone, but I'll give you aid. I can't help you cross. I'm just too small, but I can fly high and see nearly all. As Diggy hung his head, he told Ollie, "Thank you," but he was still lost and didn't know what to do. My home is so far away, and the path is unknown. I've been lost for hours. I feel so alone. Ollie shook his head and jumped from the limb. He flew towards Diggy and landed right next to him. You may be lost and the way home unknown, but the one thing you're not, you are not alone. At that moment, the forest came alive. As the animals walked into the light, the beaver, the moose, and even the bear. They were all huddled around. They were all right there. We may not be able to help you as one, but with us together, anything can be done. All of the animals smiled, making Diggy grin too. I have a plan. This is what we're going to do. Ollie took to the sky, way up above the trees. With his great sight, he could see the way with ease. Diggy followed from the ground as fast as he could, leading the others through the dense wood. After a while, they broke into the light. They were back at the river. Diggy jumped with delight. But they had little time. The sunset just began. So they found the tallest tree, continued with the plan. Bucky used his teeth to chop at the wood, while Melvin scraped the bark as best as he could. The moment was right, so Billy stepped in. He leaned on the tree, ready to begin. Billy pushed and pushed with all of his might. The tree was huge. It definitely gave him a fight. But then the others started helping their friend, and that's when the tree began to descend. Sam! That's a new word. Bam! Went that tree. The sound echoed all around. The tree laid across the river, perfectly on the ground. Their plan had worked. The animals jumped to cheer, hugging one another as if friends for years. Diggy leapt on the tree. The new bridge was strong. He trotted across as if it was there all along. As he touched the other bank, he was so glad. He was going home to see his mom and dad. Before he left, he turned around to say, and there were and there were 4 smiles shining back his way. Thank you, 4. You are all so kind. I'll never forget. You are all friends of mine. The 5 animals waved and went their own way. But they kept the lesson they had learned that day. No matter the animal, big or small, together we're better and can accomplish it all. The end. Oh my gosh, that was an excellent book. Bad Seed. I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. Oh yeah, it's true. The other seeds, they look at me and they say, that seed is so bad. When they think I'm not listening, they mumble, there goes a bad seed. But I can hear them. I have good hearing for a seed. How bad am I? You really want to know? Well, I never put things back where they belong. I'm late to everything. I tell long jokes with no punchlines. I never wash my hands or feet. Gross. I lie about pointless stuff. I cut in line every time. I stare at everybody. I glare at everybody. I finish everybody's sentences, and I never listen. And I do lots of other bad things too. You know why? Because I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. I just can't help it. Sure, I wasn't always this bad. I was born a humble seed on a simple sunflower in an unremarkable field. I had a big family, seeds everywhere. We found ways of having fun. We were close. But then the petals dropped, and our flower drooped. Oh no! It's kind of a blur. I remember a bag. Then everything went dark. And then a giant. I thought I was a goner. I thought I was done for. I screamed and I hollered. But I was spit out at the last possible second. I flew through the air and I landed under the bench. And I landed, hold on. Let me try that again. I flew through the air and I landed under the bleachers with a huge thud. When I woke up, it was dark outside. A wad of gum had softened my fall. I felt okay, but something had changed in me. I'd become a different seed entirely. I'd become a bad seed. A bad seed. That's right. I stopped smiling. I kept to myself. I drifted. I was friend to nobody and bad to everybody. I was lost on purpose. I lived inside a soda can. I didn't care. And it suited me. Until recently. I've made a big decision. I've decided I don't want to be a bad seed anymore. I'm ready to be happy. It's hard to be good when you're so used to being bad. But I'm trying. I'm taking it one day at a time. Sure, I still forget to listen. And I still show up late. And I still talk during movies. I do all kinds of other bad stuff. But I also say thank you. And I say please. And I smile. And I hold the doors open for other people. Not always, but sometimes. And even though I still feel bad sometimes, I also feel kind of good. It's sort of a mix. All I can do is keep trying and keep thinking. Maybe I'm not such a bad seed after all. Hey, look, there goes that bad seed. Actually, he's not that bad. He's not all that bad anymore. I heard that. The end. The Slumbering Pearl. Deep beneath the turquoise sea, there lives a pearl. And when she sleeps, something wonderful and mysterious happens. The slumbering pearl dreams the universe. Okay. Everything we know, all the mysteries of the world, everything from the largest galaxy to the smallest flower, the most distant nebula to the most delicate spider's web, is dreamt into creation when the pearl slumbers. But there's a problem. The pearl doesn't want to sleep. She is tired, yes, very sleepy. Still, she struggles to stay awake. Is this pearl's name Duck? She's afraid if she sleeps, she will miss something exciting or new, or shiny or funny. I think this pearl's named Duck. I think. Sounds very familiar. But if she doesn't sleep, she can't dream the universe. And if she doesn't dream the universe, nothing will exist. Not even you or me. Lucky for us, the pearl has friends to help her. Every night, the creatures of the sea try to help the pearl go to sleep. The chambered nautilus shushes her. The starfish gives her a massage. It's very nice. The jellyfish makes a beautiful mobile with the help of the crab and the parrotfish, the lobster, and the turtle. The dolphin spins her on his nose, and the seahorse gently takes her for a gentle ride. This book is really pretty. The whale sings her a whale song lullaby, but the pearl refuses to go to sleep. In desperation, the creatures all take turns rocking her. But no, she still won't go to sleep. Finally, the creatures are so tired, they give up and decide they can't help the pearl sleep after all. One by one, they drift away into the sea. The pearl smiles because she has won. Now she never has to sleep. The pearl thinks, I don't need sleep, but maybe it wouldn't hurt to close my eyes, just for a moment. And right before she drifts off to sleep, she realizes she doesn't remember why she was fighting so hard to stay awake. At last, the slumbering pearl dreams the universe. The end. Fiona, it's bedtime. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Coo, coo, coo. Oh, how. Oops. Hoot. Hoot! Gobble gobble. Roar! Grrr! Squawk, squawk! Howl, roar, squawk, coo. The sun is setting at the zoo. The critters had a busy day, filled with laughter, fun, and play. But now it's bedtime at the zoo. It's bedtime for Fiona, too. Before today's adventure ends, she'll say goodnight to all her friends. Goodnight, koala. Time to doze, with your paws curled up near your nose. Safe and happy in the trees, snoozing in the evening breeze. Goodnight, cheetah, lightning fast. Now it's time for sleep at last. Snuggle up in mama's fur and drift off to her loving purr. Goodnight, tortoise. Where's your head? Oh, tucked inside your shell-shaped bed. It's warm and snug, so settle in and let your reptile dreams begin. Goodnight, sloth. To bed you go, moving very, very slow. Sleepy eyes and big sloth yawn. Sweet dreams till the break of dawn. Goodnight, flamingos, on your toes. You sleep in such a silly pose. Please make a promise that you'll keep. Don't fall down while you're asleep. Goodnight, otters, in a row, hand in hand and toe into toe. Drift to sleep, rock and sway. Together you won't float away. Goodnight, meerkats, in a heap. It's time for you to go to sleep. Cuddled up and all piled high. Now dream beneath the starry sky. Goodnight, giraffes, as tall as trees. Time to bend your knobby knees. It's a long way to the ground. Now rest your heads and settle down. Goodnight, tigers, filled with pride. You curl up in the grass to hide. It's time to let out one last roar, and then a grumbly, growly snore. Goodnight, bear cubs, white as snow. Off to dreamland you will go. Stretch your legs, your backs, your claws, and rest your head upon your paws. Good night, wolf and sleepy pack. Good night, apes on mama's back. Good night, wildebeest and new. Good night, huddled penguins too. Good night, lizard, no more creeping. Good night, zebra, standing sleeping. Good night, lion, mane so sleek. Good night, toucan, rest your beak. Yawn, snore, ha, sigh, cuckoo. The moon shines down upon the zoo. All good nights have now been said. Fiona, time to go to bed. The end. I love you through winter, spring, summer, and fall. Okay, perfect. How much do I love you? Do you want to know? I love you through winter, spring, summer, and fall. Through all the changes, big and small. But that is not all. That is not all. I love you in the winter, when the air is chill. When we go for a stroll, which is such a thrill. I love you in the winter, when the snow is deep, when you're under the covers as you drift into sleep. Through Christmas through Christmas walks on frosty streets, enjoying the lights and festive treats. I love you in the wintertime, my precious one. You are my rhyme. I love you in the spring when the seeds awake, when we celebrate your birthday with much fanfare and cake. Oh my gosh, I think I know who this was written about. I love you in the spring when the air smells sweet, when I hear your soft giggles in my life is complete. Through family picnics and fields of flowers, admiring the view as we linger for hours. I love you in the spring, my darling one, what joy you bring. I love you in the summer, when the skies are blue, when we tell jokes and laugh as we always do. I love you in the summer, when the days are long, when you listen with your heart as I sing you a song. Through swimming and frolicking in the sun, blowing bubbles just for fun. I love you in the summer, my cherished one. You are like no other. I love you in the fall, when the leaves turn brown, when you hurt yourself and wear a frown. I love you in the fall, when the apples are ripe, when troubles befall you, each tear I will wipe. Through pumpkin picking at Halloween, hay rides, and everything in between. I love you in the fall, my treasured one. You are my all. I love you through stormy weather. When the going gets tough, we'll go through it together. I love you even when the stars don't shine. My love will light your way, sweet joy of mine. So, when you ask me, my love, how much I love you, the answer is, I love you through winter, spring, summer, and fall. Through all the changes, big and small. And that is not all. That is not all. Alright, I think that's the end. Stanley and the Magic Spider. One morning, Miss Peckinpah found a little Stanley on her doorstep. She squinted through blurry bifocals. Must be one of the labradoodle things, she said. From that moment on, Stanley was a dog. But being a dog was hard. Stanley didn't fit in at all. But Stanley did have Anderson. He was the best stuffed monkey a dog could have. He tagged along everywhere in Stanley's backpack, so Stanley never, ever took it off. So, when Stanley tried to dog battle, Anderson was there. When Stanley went to obedience school, Anderson was there. And every time Stanley never got picked for dog ball, Anderson was there. More than anything, Stanley wished he could fit in with the other dogs. So, that's what he and Anderson set out to find. Just one wish. First, they searched for a wishbone. It was a long shot, but Stanley had seen other dogs dig up plenty of bones. They did not find a wishbone. Next, they looked for a wishing well to make some cool ripples. Nothing. Then they heard something buzzing way up in the sky. There, Stanley, sneered Butch, controlling a toy plane from the ground. Let's have some fun. The plane turned and rocketed straight for Stanley. Stanley scrambled
scrambled, scrabbled, and scurried to get away, but the plane roared closer and closer. Stanley dipped, tripped, and flipped to the ground. But Anderson was snagged and pulled up into the sky. Anderson broke free and tumbled through the air. He landed with a bing, bang, boom, right on top of a water tower. Stanley knew his friend would be scared. "I'll get you down," he promised, but he had no idea how. Oh my goodness. "That's going to be tricky," a very large and very blue spider said. "You could find a ladder, or maybe a giant slingshot would work." The spider quickly wove these things with his sparkling web. "Whoa," said Stanley. "Are you magic?" "Well," the magical spider smiled, "I help others find their own way." "You see," the spider continued, "you know the way to the most wonderful places where signs fall behind and the road chases. Whether it's over the hills or through the trees, you can soar with the birds, you can buzz with the bees. And if you get lost on the long trip home, you'll find your way. You're never alone." That didn't sound like magic to Stanley. Stanley looked up at Anderson. "We were just looking for a wish." "You're in luck," said the magic spider, checking his many watches. "A meteor shower is due any minute." Nothing happened. "I said any minute," he repeated. Suddenly, hundreds of stars raced across the sky. Stanley's eyes lit up. A meteor shower meant shooting stars. Shooting stars meant dozens of wonderful wishes. Stanley picked one star and squeezed his eyes shut. He was going to get his wish to finally fit in. And then he thought about Anderson. His friend needed his help, so that's what he wished for. "Stanley," the magical spider shouted, "you're floating!" Stanley looked over his shoulder. 2 tiny wings waved back. His backpack must have been hiding them all along. "Thank you," Stanley called to the magic spider as he zoomed up the water tower. Stanley forced his wings to flap faster and faster. He reached out and felt something soft and furry. "Gotcha," he said, hugging Anderson tight as the 2 friends soared into the sky together. "I can fly!" Sailing above the clouds, Stanley heard Butch and the gang below. "Is that Stanley?" said one. "He's flying," said another. "He's a dragon." Even with the wind whistling in his ears, Stanley could hear them cheering. Stanley nervously looked around. Everything looked so different way up high. He was scared. He had no way to get home. Then Stanley noticed something below. A sparkling web weaved between bushes, around houses, and under fences. Stanley smiled. The magic spider was guiding him home. Stanley floated through the sky, spinning and giggling. He forgot all about fitting in. He was having far too much fun standing out. The end. This has been Bedtime Stories with Duck and Goose. We've had a great time. We hope you did too. And we will see you next week. And say bye.